Good morning, everyone. You're kind of seeing me morning look again. You'll have to deal with that because what happens is when I try to do it in the evening after work, a lot of times I don't feel like it, so I just figure it's better to get it done in the morning here. That way I can get it more daily Bible verses out to everybody. I love doing this. It sucks when I'm not able to, so you'll have to deal with my morning look. But anyway, it's time for your daily Bible verse. And today we're going to read Matthew chapter 5, verses 27 to 30. You have heard that it was said, "Do not commit adultery." But I tell you that anyone who looks at a woman lustfully has already committed adultery with her in his heart. If your right eye causes you to sin, gouge it out and throw it away. It is better for you to lose one part of your body than for your whole body to be thrown into hell. And if your right hand causes you to sin, cut it off and throw it away. It is better for you to lose one part of your body than for your whole body to go into hell. So let me just say something. If you think that I never feel conviction, that you're never supposed to feel conviction when you read the Bible, boy, you are dead wrong. Because this is one verse that oftentimes cuts like a knife with me, because I have such issues with lust towards women, mainly because I am tormented by my single life, So this is one that kind of cuts deep for me, and I'm sure does other people on here that I know struggle with that as well. Jesus is saying don't commit adultery. It was told that in the Ten Commandments. But here Jesus is saying anyone who looks at a woman lustfully has already committed adultery with her in his heart. Not a passing glance, just looking at her briefly. But when you stare and you start having those passions and desires in your mind, yeah, I know, we're all guilty of it, because here's the thing. Lust exists in our flesh, and lust for women or lust for men with females is a big issue. Even in the Christian community, it's problematic, And, I pray to God that He helps me with it naturally, This society has made it okay, and what's happened is we have so many Christians, so many pastors and everything else that try to fit in with society that things like this have been made okay, and we're comfortable with this, I can tell you I always feel conviction afterwards when it happens with me. And sometimes it's like, oh God, why do you have this here? Why do you have it here? And then things he points towards is like, well, just look at the human trafficking, and everything else with females. And there's males that are involved in it too, it's both sexes. And I'll tell you what, lust of eyes destroys many marriages. The Christian divorce rate is just as high as the world's. There's many verses talking about divorce here when Jesus talks about it. And we'll get into those another day furthermore. But, the lust of the eyes destroys a lot of relationships, marriages, friendships even when it's guys and girls, So it is best we view. And I pray to the Lord, viewing through the Lord's eyes and not our own, our fleshly perspective. Because lust does exist in our flesh. And when he says, if your right eye causes you to sin, gouge it out and throw it away. And if your hand causes you to sin, cut it off and throw it away. He's not literally saying, gouge your eye out, cut your arms off. No, he's saying you should deal with sin as drastically as that measure. And a big problem is, people don't ignore their sins. I made videos a little while back that people used to go to church, hear the truth, and weep over their sins, or feel conviction from them at the very least. But nowadays, everybody hears a motivational speech, and that's the problem. That's what we hear in so many of these churches, a motivational speech that makes people ignore their sins. And we wonder why, there's so much corruption in our house, God's house, the White House, everywhere. But you all have a great and blessed day. Jesus loves you. I do too, but not like he does. And I'll talk to you soon.